I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Morris?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Johnny.
And that'll be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
letting His glory shine through. That'll be you, that'll be me, that'll be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
Praise the Lord, good people. It's a Saturday afternoon. My name's Donnie. Last name's Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com and Black USA, .news. Okay, so we got a word today that our very dear brother in the city of Laurel, Martin Mitchell, was fined. Why was he fined? Well, we're going to find out. Martin Mitchell, for those who don't know, was sworn into office in the city of Laurel on Monday, November 22nd, 2021, as the at-large Laurel City Councilman. He was appointed to serve as chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee for Persons with Disabilities and a member of the Education Advisory Committee. Before winning the election, he served as a member of the city's Board of Appeals since 2017. And let me just say that what I'm so impressed with as it relates to Martin Mitchell is his commitment. This man is everywhere. Irvin Reed would call him one of the young lions in gorgeous Prince George's County. So just a little bit more about Martin. He grew up in Laurel, went on to graduate from Laurel High School and Bowie State University. Of course, that's the oldest HBCU here in the state of Maryland. Big ups to Dr. Bro down there. He is a longtime Laurel resident who is raising his twin sons, Julian and Jaden, in the city. Martin continues to give back through his first passion, wrestling. Now, for those who don't know, I was co-captain of the wrestling team at Dunbar in 1983 with Paul Cooper. And we learned under the likes of Anthony Dunaway and Skeets, Robert Register. He was one of the Maryland State Wrestling champions. So Martin and I have a love for wrestling in common. He coaches and mentors youth through sports in Laurel, earned plenty of accolades in high school and college wrestling, including earning All-American honors. I would not like to meet him on the wrestling mat these days because I am far removed from the world of wrestling. We welcome to the show Laurel City Councilman Martin Mitchell. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Yes, I appreciate it. You forgot to drop at large. You forget, a lot of people don't know what that at large means. You got to.
Okay, what does at large mean?
It means that you're not district specific, but you represent the entire district. So we have 2 wards, and so I represent the entire city of Laurel, both of those wards, basically.
And how big is Laurel?
Laurel has been growing. Laurel is, the last census was about 30,000. I would say it's closer to about 35 now. And the most interesting thing that I always bring up is I've lived there almost 30 years now, and I've seen it change from a majority Caucasian city to a majority black and brown one.
Now, I'm just trying to think. I live in Baltimore. There's about 550, 560,000 people here. Laurel has 30,000 people. So, I mean, it's not the biggest city.
It's the second biggest in Prince George's, and you really think of it like kind of like half of Hagerstown, not Hagerstown, Frederick, Maryland, as far as population wise.
What is the largest city in Prince George's?
Bowie,
Bowie, okay.
Bowie, and then Laurel.
Would they add in the student population? Is that what helps boost the numbers?
You said the student?
Do they add in the students at Bowie
Oh,
population?
I don't think so. The reason I would say is because, from my understanding, the city of Bowie is an unincorporated Bowie, so it's not within Bowie city limits, from my understanding. So I don't know. I don't think they could include them, but that's a great question, Donnie.
Okay. And one thing I didn't mention is that we've dubbed you the Cannabis Councilman.
That is true. You started it, and the Washington Post picked it up. I can say Donnie Glover coined me the Cannabis Councilman. You know, kind of jokingly, but you know, I wear the mantra proudly now. So,
And explain that. Explain how you got that title.
sure. So, you know, I've been a medical patient and a cannabis advocate for almost a decade. And one of the things that I told myself was, imagine if I can advocate for legalization of cannabis, like 10 years ago, I was saying this, and get paid for it, and, you know, change the stigma around it. And so, you know, that's what I've been able to do. Every time I get the opportunity to talk about weed or hemp, you know, I do, and I try to talk about it in a responsible way that educates people.
So, word is you were fined. You were fined? Who messes with Martin Mitchell? I mean, you're young Titan there. With all due respect, I got you by a couple of days. Who's messing with you, Martin? You know, we about to call out the dogs.
That's fair. I mean, you know, Donnie, I'll put it as simple as possible. You know, the powers that be, the powers that be is messing with me, right? Like, I am from a city where you got elected in the past by being a part of the good old boy network, and you got elected because you were part of the police department or you were part of the fire department. Like, so that's how, you know, those small towns usually go. But for me, I've always been beholden to the community, and I've always worked with the community. What I've seen from, you know, some of my colleagues and other elected officials is they sometimes put the business interest above the interest of the community. And, you know, I think that is damning, because at the end of the day, those businesses, yes, they can help fund our campaigns, developers can give us money, but they're not living in our city. And so, like, you know, the powers that be, you know, they really dislike the fact that I'm very visible. When we go campaigning, we wear these shirts so everybody sees a purple gang. It's like dozens of us wearing these shirts, right? And I put my sign in storefronts. So if you go down our main street, you could probably see 30 Martin for Laurel signs in front of local businesses. They didn't like that. They I think one of the comments was, I put out signs too early. I'm sorry.
Who is they?
They being the Board of Elections, the Laurel City Board of Elections. Just to be clear, they believe that I put out signs too early. My argument was, one, campaign signage is a First Amendment issue, especially if we're talking about residential property or the private businesses. Right-of-ways are understandable. And then my bigger issue was that there was other candidates door knocking, sending mail. It just seemed that they really disliked the yard signs.
Sounds like a lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, with a very serious face, you're darn right, Downey. You're darn right. trust and believe that those considerations are still being taken, and it's almost as if the biggest thing is like just win the race and then sue the city, right? Or
Well, I'm
sue the
sure
city
you.
in the interim, right? Like
I would imagine. I mean, you're a person of faith, right?
I am a person of faith. I'm God willing, yes.
So I imagine you'll pray about it, and you'll also seek legal consultation.
And definitely already doing that, and have been doing that. But
And let's
there's a lot of big decisions to be made, I would say. Be-
and let's not forget the wisdom of the elders.
Of course, of course. I mean, I think the biggest determination would be if there's if there's any other wrongdoing, or any other things that are questionable. Because next week, there should be some actions taken, and we should all be able to get out there. But if for any reason, that isn't the case, and everyone isn't certified, because basically the determination of the board is no candidate should be campaigning unless they are certified by the board. But there that itself falls flat on its face, because it's my First Amendment right. I could tell you, hey, I have every intention of running for mayor, and there's nothing that the board can do, to stop that, right? So I think it's more about controlling the electorate, and
Are these
controlling.
are,
Oh, I'm
are
sorry.
these are these African Americans on the board of elections?
So to be clear, there's two women. There's two women of color that are black, and there's a Caucasian lady, and then there's two white males. The biggest part about it is the chairman and some of the members of the committee. They've been there 20, 30 years. The
So we're
current
used, we're
mayor.
used to the
He
old Laurel that was majority white.
Exactly. The current mayor is retiring after 22 years as mayor, and he was a council person for 12 years before that. So just to put in perspective, he has been governing Laurel government as long as I've been alive.
Now, pardon my ignorance. Where was Colin Byrd mayor of?
Greenbelt. Colin Burr was the mayor of Greenbelt.
Okay. So let me just put this in there for you. You got a comment from Mike Green, and I would love for you to get to what the rules are on signage and removal. But before, let me just say this: I was looking for my ink pen, and I would encourage you to write an op-ed for Be More News. But I would also encourage you to send it to every news outlet that services your area, including the Washington Informer, where Denise Rolock Bonds is the publisher. And while you're at it, you might as well send it to the Washington Afro and the other newspapers that service your areas. No need to put a plug in for the mainstream. I'm Black Press, so I got to tell you about the Washington Informer and the Washington Bureau of the Afro, and of course, first and foremost, BeMoreNews.com. But these other newspapers. So what are the rules on the dates for signage?
So there isn't rules, especially from the local level. The biggest obstacle is the right of way. You shouldn't be putting anything in the right of way, which basically means when you're on the sidewalk, like that area right before the crosswalk. So those are kind of like the right of way areas, or on like publicly owned property, right? So I can't just
And you
go
didn't
put
do
my
that.
no, yeah, those are big no-nos. Those are big no-nos as far as right of ways
You put
and
them on
publicly owned
private
property.
property.
Huh?
You put it on private property.
Private, yes. Being businesses and residents that had agreed. Yes, correct. And I mean, if you remember Senator Wayne Curry, or the county executive Wayne Curry, he actually won that lawsuit in federal court right there in Greenbelt about signage. I think it was 1996, basically stating that it was his First Amendment right, and the residents' First Amendment right to be able to put up their yard signs
You can
because they
put
were
up
trying to say,
anything
oh,
you
you put
want
up
on
them
your
too
house.
early. Come
That's
again?
your house. That's your business. That's your property. Here's
Sure.
another comment from the same viewer. The old guard may be feeling threatened as demographics shift. So you've never had a black mayor in Laurel?
In 153 years, we've never had a black mayor. I'm
Oh,
only
well,
the sixth
that
black council person, and,
uh,
and and I'm serving with two other black council. So three of us are on the council together now, and the
okay.
first one came, I think, '98.
Okay, change is coming. Keep pushing and fighting the good fight. That's all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You are touching people already up and down the East Coast.
Well, I mean, you know they call me the cannabis councilman, but I also got Don the rent stabilization godfather, Donnie. So
I
we
want
we
you to
pro
take a
huh
moment and tell them about those efforts over the past year.
over the past year. So
Tell them about rent destabilization.
So in Laurel, we started the effort in organizing around rent stabilization because there was a apartment building with 5 seniors who were having their rent doubled overnight. And this was around like a little bit after Christmas. They had received a notice on their door. A new owner had come and basically he wants to upgrade the apartments to Class A, and he was going to double their rent. All of them were senior citizens on fixed income. A few of them were working, and basically gave them 30 days to make a decision if they want to continue living there, or if they want to vacate the premises. So they reached out to CASA, they reached out to Tom Denoga's office, they reached out to Delegate Pina Melnick's office, and then they also reached out to me and Councilmember Carl DeWalt. And so one of the things that we did for about 6 weeks was boiler room style negotiations with the landlord, a member of the Washington Post, and the tenants, and the other aides from the other elected offices. And so we came to an agreement where he would only raise their rent $300, and then the city would supplement another portion of that rent through ARPA. So we have $21.2 million that we've been given for the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan. And so that money is supposed to be used to help the community rebuild, keep people in homes, help people pay their water bills. And so they have a partnership with CASA, and CASA worked it out where they pay that landlord directly. After that, I wanted to figure out where else this was probably happening in the city. So I remember that this property owner had bought 4 properties in the city in the last 2 or 3 years during COVID. And so I went to the very next property, had door knocked, asked them, how their tenancy was, how their new lease was, had they had one. And some of those people said that, some of those same rent increases that we were seeing at the other place, they were seeing that, and some of them even worse. I think the worst we saw was like 60% increase. And this isn't just from a new tenant. This is a renewal, and so that's incredibly scary. And so after that, we tried to pass a law in the city, but it's very difficult because if you don't get a consensus on the board, it's never going to pass. So I had myself and another council member who were staunchly for it, and we even presented experts all the way from Minneapolis. We presented information from California and several other states. But the truth of the matter,
Looks like we've lost the councilman for a moment there. So you're getting a sense of what's happening in politics here in the state of Maryland as more and more young African Americans are getting involved in the political process. And we are particularly pleased and proud of not just Martin Mitchell, but also Colin Byrd, who we've learned was the mayor of Greenbelt. He's still a councilman. Colin was fighting when he was at the University of Maryland, fighting to get the name of Byrd off of Byrd Stadium. Byrd was a racist, the initial person that they named the stadium after. So this is breaking news all the way from Laurel down in gorgeous Prince George's County. Of course, Laurel touches 3 counties, but nonetheless, we're very proud of the efforts of Martin Mitchell. We're going to hold on a tad and see if he can regroup and come back and finish up the interview. But it's so important that we stay connected and stay supportive of our young people in the state of Maryland. And I'm 58. I know Martin is nowhere near that. A young man who's out there trying to make a difference in his community, and we're proud of him. So we're going to hold tight a second and see if we can get Martin tuned back in. But again, the Laurel City Councilman Martin Mitchell was fined $1,000 because he put up signs in private homes, and all of a sudden he's getting a bunch of crap for it. So we don't like that. We're going to stay supportive of his efforts. We think he's a dynamic young man, and if anything, we should be supporting the young adults in our community who make it their business to get involved. On that note, let me just say we had a very good anniversary event on Thursday over at what's the name of the place? Collins Restaurant, Collins Seafood, 1728 East Northern Parkway. Many thank yous, including to Speaker of the House Adrian Jones, Senator John Pica, former state senator for the 43rd District up in Northeast Baltimore. Senator Ben Cardin sent the representative, and who else? No, I'm forgetting somebody, but it was a wonderful turnout. I am so grateful to have such love and support from the community, and that's a rare thing. We don't always get that kind of support, but when you do get it, you better say thank you, because that's what our parents taught us to do. So it looks like that'll be it for Martin Mitchell for the day, but do stay tuned to blackusa.news. It is important, again, that we support our young people in the realm of politics. I was trying to get this straight. We have a new Black Wall Street coming up on August 23rd. For those who do not know, August is National Black Business Month. And if you have a business, we want you to come out. Maybe we can recommend you as a honoree for this upcoming one or for future ones. Martin did ask that I share some of his information, so we're going to put his contact information out here for you. If you want to support Councilman Martin Mitchell, if you want to send him a couple of bucks or whatever it may take to, now how am I going to do this? I probably should just do it one thing at a time, right? Where's this number? We'll just do it one at a time. So let me first put up his phone number. If you want to reach Councilman Mitchell, that is his phone number. Well, he is really blowing up his phone. Okay, so in addition to his phone number, we're going to put up his website. One thing at a time. That's how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's how we do it. That's how we multitask, because we are children of God and we can do anything we put our minds to. I know y'all know. And one other piece of information is his email address. So again, this is for Martin Mitchell. We're very proud of him. He does a show on this network. And again, it's not often that you have Irvin Reed. I don't know how many of you know Irvin Reed in Prince George's County, but he was campaign manager for Wayne Curry, the first Black county executive of Prince George's County. Irvin and I have been colleagues, friends, associates for, I would say, 15 years or so. He's straight out of Cherry Hill here in Baltimore, but he's been intricately involved in Prince George's politics, to my understanding, for the past 2 decades. Heavily involved with Wayne Curry's ascension to county executive. And Irvin Reed is the one who first pointed out Martin Mitchell to me. Already knew Colenberg, but he also, Irvin also told me about Richard Deshae Elliott, as well as Hassan Giordano here in Baltimore. And again, at the age of 58, for me, the most important thing is passing the ball. Too often, whether it's the Black church, the Black college, our Black institutions, sometimes, I look at national Black organizations, and the same person has been the president for 20 years. It's like, dude, when are you going to pass the ball? When are you going to pass the ball? I'm not trying to call names today, but when are you going to pass the ball? How much limelight do you need, son? Damn, you've been there 30 years, 20 years. Pass the ball. Pass the damn ball. Let the young bucks get a shot. People get in there and they don't want to leave. I don't get it. You've been on television. You've been to the White House. You've been all up on national news. Who's next? Who got next? I don't want to be the publisher of Be More News forever. I want some young voices to come along. And when we find a young voice like Martin Mitchell, it is imperative to me to lift him up and to make sure. So again, this is Martin Mitchell. I should call some names, but I'm not. It's Saturday and I'm going to put my battle axe down. But, you know, I look at some of these organizations. Dude, you've been there 25 years, 20 years, 15 years. When are you going to pass the ball? If we're still doing business the same way we did 20 years ago, we haven't learned anything. Muhammad Ali said that. He said, you show me a man who thinks the same way he did 20 years ago, then he's wasted 20 years. We have some young, dynamic voices like Martin Mitchell, like Richard Deshae Elliott, like Colin Bird. And if I knew some young ladies in that area, I would say here in Baltimore, Felicia Porter. Dynamic young voices. When are we going to be supportive of them as president of some of our famous institutions? And maybe these institutions have outlived their usefulness. Maybe time is up. Maybe it's time for some new organizations. Because if your organization has the same damn president that you did a decade ago, where's the progress? I think it gets old. It gets tired. I'm going to do my show, but best believe we're going to find a Martin Mitchell and we're going to find whomever else wants to come on because, you know, we have a lot of opinions as a community, just like any other community. And we do stick together. Despite what mainstream tries to put out there about the Black community, we do stick together. Need I remind you of the brouhaha, the melee, the brawl on the river? Need I remind you, we do stick together. We just got so many in-your-face issues that one there, last Saturday, no brainer. We do stick together. We do support each other. But word to the wise, some of these cats who have been in, and I'm not talking about political office per se, I'm talking about these national organizations. They've been there. If they've been there over 10 years and they don't have an exit strategy, why the hell are we still following these people? Is it really about classism? Because I submit to you, that's a bigger problem to me than racism. Because if we looked out for each other, we got $1.4, $1.5 trillion. We got our own damn economy. That is the equivalent, look it up, of, I think, at maybe the 16th largest economy in the world, Black America. Black America has one of the top 20 economies in the world. We make all of these, we make liquor brands famous. We make these European designers famous because we buy their product and we put so much high value on it. Them things fall apart. We need to support our own damn designers. We even have made automobiles. C.R. Patterson over there in Greenfield, Ohio. We can make anything anybody else can. On that note, big ups to Rashid Aziz in the 2100 block of West North Avenue, who has a manufacturing plant right there on West North Avenue, making clothes, making T-shirts, making Be More apparel. We're always thinking the white man's ice is cold, and this is no slight on good white people. This is really an encouragement to Black people. Support yourself. Charity starts at home. When I go down North Avenue and I see Black people pulling out dollars for the white addict standing on the corner, but yet turning those up at the squeegee kids, I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I'm baffled. Yes, we should help all people. A person hungry is a person hungry. But how do you turn your nose up at your own people? How? Are we white supremacists? But again, let me get back to that other point. These people who have been in these national organizations over 10 years, why? You got to go. The hell out. And if you haven't passed the ball, why? Why are you so selfish? Are you that wise? Nobody else can get that knowledge? Get some of these comments up here. Bless your heart. Michael Randolph down in Florida. Michael, I need to talk to you about a racial incident. The anniversary is December the 17th of a black man who was beat to death there in Florida. Michael Randolph is originally from Sandtown, but he's down in Florida. And I ran across, I've been doing some cleaning up and throwing out stuff, and ran across this collection of articles on a black man down in Florida. This is long before Trayvon Martin. So, Mike, I need to talk with you. What does it cost to do a show on your network? $0. Let me tell you why. One, people try to charge me and I didn't like it. But two, we have STEM City USA, the Northwest Voice newspaper, the Salvation Army of Central Maryland, Billy Murphy, Murphy Falcon and Murphy, Next Phase Cafe, Commercial Construction, Attorney Robert DeShield. So what does it cost? You got to support these businesses here. Habitat for Humanity, Building Affordable Homes, Terra Cafe. You support these businesses, that's how you keep this network going. Michael Haney, the Maryland Center for Hospitality Training. Support these sponsors here. That's why we run them down there. We run them because these are the people that keep us going. There's my man. There's my man. And he does a show. Let me tell you, my show, I'd like to think is, doing okay. This cat here, home run hitter. Home run hitter. He's a cleanup man. He's batting fourth because he's going to smack a show with 300, 400 hits on it. Art Blackshear, my man Doug out there in Oakland, California. He's taught me so much about Oakland. And just like we bring black politicians on this show and other shows that we have, he specializes in bringing forth the black voices out there on the West Coast. He has also brought us Kamal Hubbard, who does some wonderful work in the realm of black crypto. So we're really fortunate on this network. We started blackusa.news in December 2020. COVID had hit. We needed a pandemic pivot. And so we started getting shows. And now we have shows from New York, Tasmere Gathers, shows, of course, from Baltimore. That's where we're based. Shows from Washington, D.C., including Beverly Smith, Natasha White down in Richmond. We've even had Brother Joey Noble down in Miami and Deborah Harnett in Atlanta. So if you would like a show on this network, just call me, 443-858-2684, 443-858-2684, 443-858-2684. My name's Donnie Glover, and again, we were talking with Martin Mitchell. This has been a very important show. Martin Mitchell has been dealing with being fined. Martin Mitchell is running for mayor there in Laurel, second largest city in gorgeous Prince George's County. Prince George's County, of course, has the largest population of black people here in the state of Maryland. And stay tuned for our next shows. We broadcast the Donnie Glover Show typically Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. East Coast time. It is Emmy nominated. I get excited about that. Back in February of this year. Many thanks to STEM City USA. Do check out Dr. Tyrone Taborn's baby, STEM City USA. We are in the metaverse. Our show and other shows, including Marsha Jews, we are in the metaverse, and it's just another way of viewing up-to-date information from the black community. My name is Donnie Glover, publisher of both BeMoreNews.com and BlackUSA.news, the voice of our people. And we will see you Monday morning unless some more breaking news comes about. Have a great Saturday. Good afternoon, world.